and I'm bringing you another Pokemon trading card game video. In today's video, I'm doing something a little different. I'm going through all of my Pokemon card collection that I haven't shown off yet, just so I can get through those and then I can start opening up new packs. But yeah, I've got some cool stuff in there, so I just wanted to show that off, and yeah, hopefully you guys find that interesting.
Okay, so here we have my binder. I recently added the Super Duper TCG and Super Duper Danny stickers that I got in the Super Duper TCG random box. So they look pretty nice on there. So first of all, I guess just starting here, I've got a Flareon from a Flareon deck that I had with the Blacksmith card here. It's a holo. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so for the first cards in here are all from like different decks that I had made up. Like here I've got a Psychic deck that I had made. And the centerpiece of this was this Mew EX. I actually have two of them. Two of them in here. They're both the same looking. But that card is just amazing. Its ability lets it use any attack of any Pokemon in play as long as it has the necessary energy. So you combo that with a Prism energy, which provides any type of energy to basic Pokemon, and it's just insane. This thing is so brutal. You when you run that with like you run it along with like a one of those Zekroms with Outrage, and it can just do so much damage. Or there's like a certain Leafeon card that I'll show you later, which does an incredible amount of damage. I've got a Wobbuffet here whose ability cancels every other ability in play as long as it's the active Pokemon. This Gardevoir, its ability makes it so that each psychic energy attached to psychic Pokemon provides 2 energy instead of 1, which is incredible. This Gardevoir is also pretty good. It makes it so that any damage counters that are on it are moved to the opposing Pokemon. Although it can't use that in the next turn, but you can basically, you have to one-shot this thing or two-shot it in order to actually kill it. Otherwise, it's just throwing all the damage right back at your Pokemon. So that thing's just incredible. And Dimension Valley also combos very well with all of this in that each Psychic Pokemon's attack costs 1 colorless energy less, which is just incredible. I've also got a Meow Stick, which is... It's decent. It's got its ability makes it so if it's damaged, it confuses your opponent's Pokemon. I've also got a lot of these Eevees here, where if you attach an energy type to it, then you can search your deck for a card that, or for a evolution that matches that and attach it, which is that's just a really great card. Same with this Mr. Mime. Like, it's really handy for its ability prevents damage to your bench. Which is, we would have whole strategies based around attacking benches, so that was a really good card to have when I was playing against my brothers. This Noivern, pretty good. It's got echolocation ability, which gives you a 50% chance to prevent any damage done by attacks. So this was for an evolution deck that I tried to make up, which was decent. We got a Jolteon here. This Umbreon was really good. So it can do 80 damage for 1 darkness and 2 colorless energies. And Shadow Drain heals the same amount of damage you did to your opposing Pokemon. But if you throw darkness energies on there, you're doing plus 10 damage for each darkness energy. So this thing could easily be doing 50, 60 damage or more if they're weak to dark types. So this thing was actually surprisingly tanky and able to just soak up a lot of damage. And on the other side here, we just have this absolutely broken Leafeon for 1 colorless energy. It's got the Energy Crush ability, which does 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. Holy crap! Just think about how many energy you might have on your Pokemon. Like this thing, like there's certain Pokemon that need like 5 energy to use their attacks these days. So for 1 colorless energy, this thing can be doing 100 damage against that. Or even more depending on the type of deck your opponent has. Like I've seen this thing do 200 plus damage just for 1 energy. That's insane. Absolutely insane. So, and then there was my fairy deck. This was a really good deck for me. I think I lost once with it, maybe. Against my brothers, anyway. But it had, it was kind of centered around Aromatisse. Which Aromatisse, as often as you like during your turn, you may move a fairy energy attached to one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. And then it also had, Xerneas was also kind of a linchpin in it with the Geomancy ability. Which lets you choose 2 of your bench Pokemon, and for each of them, search your deck for a fairy energy, and attach it to that Pokemon, shuffle your deck afterwards. So I could get 2 energies, and then because I have Aromatisse, I can move them around to whatever Pokemon I need to give it to, and if one of my Pokemon's about to get knocked out, I just move it over as well. Or if I want, I can just move them all to Xerneas. So as you can see, like that's the sort of... it's the sort of thing that can just rack up really fast. And same with Togekiss here. Like, it has Powerful Slap, which does 50 damage times the... Well, and you flip a coin for each energy attached to it. So if you get that thing, if you need to send that thing out, you just move all your energies over onto it. And it's gonna... And you can easily rack up like 200 damage or something just for flipping coins. This old Togekiss card here, too, is very good with Super Metronome, where you get a 50% chance of using one of your opponent's attacks, and you don't even have to have like the energy requirements at all for it. So it's I mean, it's a pretty frail old Pokemon, but it's kind of scaled up decently considering just how brutal some attacks have gotten. Like I suppose it could even copy like a GX attack probably. Like, obviously it predates the introduction of GX attacks and stuff, but like theoretically, unless they've like FAQ'd this for some reason, like theoretically Super Metronome could copy a GX attack or something. And here's that broken Zekrom that I've mentioned with Bolt Strike that does 40 damage to itself, and Outrage does 10 more damage for each damage counter on it for 2 double colorless energy, which is incredible. So obviously with 130 HP, it can be doing up to 140 damage for 2 double colorless, which is just incredible. Then this Electros is a little bit like, It's a little bit like the Aromatisse, where it can move basic energy attached to bench Pokemon onto itself. And so it's not quite as good, but it's pretty good. Especially it works with Electric Cannon too, because that attack, it can do more damage if you discard all the energy attached to it. So if you've built up your bench well enough, then it can actually do pretty well there. And then I've got this, I've got a Reverse Holo Pikachu on there as well. It looks really nice. It's not really a great card. It just looks cool, so I wanted to keep it. And then there's a couple more Pokemon over on that side, which you can see. I'm just gonna move this over a little bit so you guys can see that a little better. You can see some of the other cards coming up here, which were quite exciting, but I won't get to them until they're in their own turn. Notable on this side is Cincino. I've got a Reverse Holo of this card. It was so annoying. This card would just screw with us so hard during battles with my brothers, so we all just kind of like got it. But it's got Smooth Code ability, which if it's attacked by an opponent and it does damage to it, there's a 50% chance it just ignores the damage entirely. Like, I've had that thing pull that off like 2 or 3 turns in a row, and it was just infuriating trying to kill it. And yeah, and then we got my fire deck here. This is probably the coolest cards that I have in here. We have this Charizard here. It's cool. I've got a holo of it. I think I have a couple. Yeah, I think I have 2 of this card. This one's a holo. I think I've got I've got a different version of it, a different art, but it's also a holo. And then we've got the real centerpiece of this. I've got a promo Charizard EX card, and I've got a Mega Charizard EX from the Flash Fire pack. I'm not sure if this will be up before my my next top 8 video, but I will have a story about this card in my top 8, along with other Charizard EX cards. And I also have a Delphox EX. As I've said in one of my other TCG videos, I really like Delphox. It was a promo card, that I got along with something, so I was pretty happy to get that because Delphox is a cool card. Delphox is a cool Pokemon. Very underrated in my opinion. I've also got on the other side here a Embor EX, and Volcarona, Magcargo, and I've got the Ancient Tomb, which is an interesting card, which is don't apply a weakness for all Pokemon in play. That's pretty handy to have in certain decks, especially if you know your opponent's going to be bringing like a water deck. Like one of my brothers really likes water Pokemon, so it was useful for me to bring this if I'm playing fire. We've got a Reshiram here, which is very similar to the Zekrom card with the Outrage ability. We've got two different art versions of it. So this one's a holo, and this one's a not holo, but it's got a cooler art. I've got a holo Moltres here, and we've got some Houndoom. It's got the Lonesome ability, so as long as you have less Pokemon in play than your opponent can't play any trainer cards except for supporter cards from his or her hand. That's a really good card, especially when we were kind of playing a mixed. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it was kind of an anything goes sort of thing. We just didn't let people play like really brutal EXs, so it didn't turn into like a race to the bottom. But you could play like old trainer cards like Professor Oak or Bill and stuff like that, so they weren't technically supporter cards. So stopping you from being able to play those is actually really brutal. I've also got a really cool Ninetales here. With Roast Reveal ability. Once during your turn, you may discard a Fire Energy card from your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards, which obviously is pretty handy if you've got a lot of Fire Energy to work with. So we've got a Pyroar here. It's a holo. I've also got a really cute Growlithe here with a reverse holo. I'm just gonna move this over a little bit more. So not a lot of stuff on this page here, but then we've got more Houndooms. Houndoom, also a card I really like. It's a cool Pokemon. He kind of just missed my top 10, but back in the day he would have been considered for sure one of my favorites. I've got a holo one here, and I've just got a lot of different options to work with for Houndoom if I want it. This Spiritomb's annoying, so its ability makes it so that no one can play A-spec cards from their hand. It doesn't have any real attacks though, like so it Hex and Mirror attack, you shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw a number of cards equal to the number of cards in your opponent's hand. So obviously that's very much a supporter Pokemon. Like it has 1 retreat cost too. So it doesn't have to like get caught out of, you don't have to waste a lot of time like getting it out if it gets stuck out. So we've got some more. I've got some more Pokemon over here. I've got like a reverse holo Absol. I've got a holo Umbreon. So this one's got an interesting attack here with Lunatic Sense. So turn one of your face down prize cards face up. If that prize card is a Pokemon, this attack does 60 more damage. And that card remains face up for the rest of the game. So it's kind of cool. You get to, so it can do 120 damage, which is pretty great. And then you can also just get an idea of what your prize cards are, and that way when you get them you can actually pick accordingly. And then we've got some Dragon and Dark types, or no, Dragon and Dark types here. They're okay. We got a Goodra here, which is pretty cool. That one's also a reverse holo, and a Vettel with the Fright Night ability, which prevents Pokemon tool cards from having any effect. So we've got my normal types. So yeah, at this point in the binder, the cards are kind of arranged by typing, so that way if I want to make a deck, I can just pick what I need. So we've got an old school Kangaskhan here from the Jungle set. Nothing really interesting there otherwise. Actually, what does that Kangaskhan have? Oh yeah, sorry. I really like this Kangaskhan, actually, because just for 1 energy you can get Call for Family. So if you get unlucky on the first turn and all you have is this Kangaskhan, you can fill your bench up pretty quick. It's basically the same as this Kangaskhan, except better entirely. Like it does the same amount of damage for half as much energy and has more health. So it was a good card to have here. We got another one of those annoying Cincenos. Same ability and attacks and everything. We have... what we got here? We got a milk tank here. This is a good... I mentioned this in one of my other videos. It's a good support card to have. Good in like setup, so you can set up your bench and get everything ready to go. We got some more things here. So this low punny is actually kind of cool with the big jump ability. It can return the Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. So obviously if you're in a bad position with it, just zoom it out of there and you're basically getting like a free scoop up to prevent your opponent from getting a prize card. This Eevee here is from Build-A-Bear Workshop from when I got a Eevee from them. It's not a good card by itself, but as a promo, it's pretty cool. I'm certainly glad that I kept that, and I loved my Eevee that I got with that. I'm kind of living in between two places at the moment, so once I've got a better setup, I want to make a studio essentially and get it all set up with all my Pokemon swag. So I'll be showing off my Eevee at that point, but you might have seen it in some of my videos. Something super interesting here. We've got another one of those Meow Sticks, which is a pretty good card. And this Weezing's decent with the Aftermath ability, which knocks off which discards the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, so it can kind of potentially incentivize them to not knock it out. Alright, and then we got some more. Kirlias and Ralts and stuff, just in case I want to make a deck. And we got a Holo Gallade. Got some more Psychic cards, some more Fairies here. Nothing super interesting except for a Reverse Holo Wigglytuff and a Holo Carbink. We got a Florge's Break card, which was pretty cool when I got that, and a Togekiss EX. You know what, I looked through here quickly and I actually didn't even notice that I had that Togekiss EX. It's a pretty cool card. Certainly like Togekiss. I don't know if I use it over my other one though, just because it's so easy to just make super overpowered with my deck. Then there's this Gardevoir here, which is, I don't think it's intentionally, I don't think it's supposed to be a shiny card, but just it looks like a shiny card, like just the coloration on it. And it's in Reverse Holo too, which is cool. And it can also heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon every turn, so that's cool. Yeah, I've always liked that card. Cool card, it's just not as good as my other Gardevoirs. And then I've got some Reverse Holo Grass Pokemon here. Nothing super amazing. This Tropius is okay with Energy Press, but it's not like Jolteon where it affects every Pokemon in play. Like the energy, it's only based on the damage is only based on the energy on your opponent's defending Pokemon, so it's okay. I've got a promo Celebi here, which is decent, but the real interesting one is Mega Sceptile EX, which is it's okay. I've never actually used it, I don't think, in a game, but it's an okay card, and I've actually got the Spirit Link to go with it, so if I ever wanted to use it, it's not going to end my turn automatically. I've got a classic Venomoth from base set 2. I love this card. It's a classic for me. It's not a great Pokemon. Like, it's cool to getting the shift ability where it can change its type to any other type than colorless just to do extra damage to your opponent, but it's really not a great card to use in battle anymore, unfortunately. So we got this Virizion, which is pretty cool, with prize count attack, which does 40 damage plus 80 more damage if you have more prize cards than your opponent. And yeah, just because I love Venomoth so much, I've got reverse holos of Venonat and Venomoth, as well as reverse holo Vileplume and reverse holo Virizion. And So that's pretty much it for interesting stuff there. I've got a holo. Okay, I've got another Zekrom. It's not as overpowered as the other one, but it's holo, as is this Rayquaza. That Galvantula is kind of interesting colored, with the pink on there. We got more decent cards, but nothing like super cool about them. Got another one of those overpowered Zekroms. We used to buy the tins. There would be like Zekrom and Reshiram tins, which we'd buy in part because like these Zekrom and Reshiram promo cards that were in them were so good, but also because they were kind of the most economical way for us to get packs, because like you're getting 3 packs in those for like the same price essentially as what you'd be paying for them separate, or even I think a little less possibly, plus a promo card that you're definitely going to use. So we just had so many Zekroms and Reshirams floating around after a few trips to Walmart. So I got a Glalie EX. I think that was my... Oh, that's a different page, but that's alright. Yeah, so I've got Glalie EX, which is cool. I think I just got that out of a random pack, which was very unexpected, obviously, but it's an okay card. Its attack, though, it's like it does 100, or it does 50 damage, and if you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, this attack does 100 more damage. So you gotta kind of have hand manipulation to make that particularly good. Like if you had like a Delphox with there or something, so you could draw cards until your hand is a certain size, you can kind of make this attack do really well. But on its own, it's kind of a difficult one to make work properly. I've also got a reverse holo Gyarados, which is pretty cool. And then we got a holo Greninja. Oh, that's cool. So it can kind of attack twice in your turn. It's got a Water Shuriken, where once during your turn, you may discard a Water Energy card from your hand. If you do, put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Plus, and then it can use Mist Slash, where its damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance. So it's an interesting card. Potential to like knock out 2 cards in one turn with it. We've got this pretty cool looking Kabuto. And then we got some more evolutions. Obviously I collect them. And we got like a regular version of this Eevee here without the Build-A-Bear logo. And then we just got a lot of energy. Got a Rainbow Energy here, which is pretty cool. We got a Blend Energy. We got a bunch of different special energies, which are all pretty cool. I got some more Prism Energies for EXs and Mew if I want it. And then we get into my trainers here. So we got the Shrine of Memories in Reverse Holo. So each player's evolved Pokemon can use any attack from its previous evolution. That's amazing, depending on the attacks that you have. It can make like certain Pokemon like kind of broken. Like I think there's certain Pokemon with which are kind of balanced around having really low health and they get Flail, but then you can put that onto like a later stage evolution with really high health, and all of a sudden this thing can do 150 damage for 1 energy. It's a great card. Sky Arrow Bridge, I also have that Reverse Holo where it reduces retreat cost by 1. You can certainly build a deck around that. Skyfield was always interesting for when you want to have a bench attack. When you want to have a bench attack deck, because you can have 8 Pokemon put onto your bench. And then if it leaves the field, then you have to discard back down to 5. Chaos Gym is a really interesting card, really old, interesting card that I went and bought because I liked its effect. So whenever a player plays a trainer card other than a stadium card, he or she flips a coin. If heads, that player plays that card normally. If tails, the player can't play that card. If the card isn't put into play, the player's opponent may use that card instead. If he or she does everything required in order to play that card. Either way, the card goes to its owner's discard pile. So that thing just makes playing trainer cards just super, super risky. And so I would throw that into decks sometimes and build around it. And like eventually, like the counter was just to take your own stadiums and play it over it to try to get rid of it, because it makes playing anything really risky. We've got Mountain Ring, which prevents damage to bench Pokemon, which again we liked to like to snipe the bench before it could get built up. We've got All Night Party, which is I've shown that in another video before. We've got the Rocket's Trap in Holo, which is pretty cool. Flip a coin. If heads, choose up to 3 cards at random from your opponent's hand. Your opponent shuffles those cards into his or her deck. Super, super handy. Got Old School Bill, Energy Retrieval, another old card. That's very good. Yeah, red card's also pretty handy, where your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards. So you can kind of use that to just disrupt any sort of setup they've got going. We've got Giovanni's Scheme here in reverse holo, which is interesting. So you get to choose. You draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand, or during this turn your opponent's attack or your Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to the opponent's active Pokemon. It's cool that you get the option with it, so it makes this card pretty versatile. Even if it's not like the best at either option, it gives you more options to work with instead for 1 card, which is kind of cool. I've got Protection Cube, which looks like the sort of thing that would take you to like the Hellraiser Reverse. It prevents all damage done to this Pokemon. This card is attached to by attacks it uses. So essentially it removes recoil damage, which is cool. And there's Energy Recycler and Reverse Holo, which returns energies from your discard pile. There's also Superior Energy Retrieval. I've got Professor Oak. Pokemon Communication is a pretty cool card. So you reveal a Pokemon in your hand, put it on top of your deck, and if you do so, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. It's decent. Got Energy Removal, Switch, Pokemon Fan Club. I've mentioned why those are all good. Skyla, entire decks that we built were built around this. Like, you'd win if your opponent didn't have a Skyla, because you could just get back your trainers that you needed. Last was also really, really good. I would use that to just screw people over. So you and your opponent show each other your hands, then shuffle all the trainer cards from your hands into your decks. I won games because of that card before. We got Evo Soda's pretty handy. So you could just completely skip your stage 1 evolution, just jump straight to stage 2, which is always handy to get. Same sort of thing with Rare Candy. It's similar to the Evo Soda there. We got Teammates. Teammates was handy too. It's kind of like it's kind of like Retaliate in the video games, where so if one of your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, you can search your deck for up to 2 cards and then put them into your hand and shuffle your deck afterwards. So basically, if you know you're going to lose a Pokemon anyway, just let them die, and then you can get 2 of whatever card you actually need, and which can just save you if you're in a pinch. I've also got a lot of Blacksmiths. It's a good card. It's a really good card if you're running a fire deck. And then I've got a couple other trainer cards here. Nothing particularly special about them. And then I've got some cards here that were decent cards, but I don't really need them. I'm probably gonna sell them in the near future. Yeah, and there's just lots of reverse holos and some rares that I don't really care about that much. But yeah, anyway, that is my collection. I'll be filling that up with new cards soon. Whatever cards that I get from these other decks that I like, or from these other collections that I've already done videos on, I'll probably be adding them in here. The ones that I like, and whatever I get in any future boxes, they'll be making their way in here as well. And yeah, anyway, I hope you thought these were interesting. It's certainly interesting looking back through these cards and seeing the stuff that I got. Like, I've forgotten about some of this stuff entirely, so it's cool going down memory lane, looking through everything again, and kind of makes me want to make up some more new decks at some point, just to try things out. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This is Barlock, signing off.